What's up, NRL fans? It's Dan and Luke from Dark Previews, and we're here to preview round 5 of the NRL. I've got 4 best bets on the cards. Luke has about 1,100, so let's see how he goes this week. But bit of accountability to kick things off. How'd you go? You got a bit excited on the potty, started throwing up more bets than you originally planned. How'd you land?
Yeah, well, that was the problem. I got excited on the potty. So 3 and 4 in the end. With 2 of my losses being ones that I put on while being on the potty. So that's why I'm not putting any on live on this potty. I've done my bets already and I'm sticking to them.
Beautiful. Well, that
How'd
takes
you
you to
go?
10 and 9 for the year. I went 3 and 1 last week, so pretty decent. But the only one that fucked me was my own team. It was the Brisbane Broncos to cover that second half line. It was shocking. That was shocking. So I'm at 10 and 6, so it's not too bad. But really want to get a sweep here. These one leg losses are not doing me any favors. So I'm feeling it. Staying conservative. Got my 4. I'm really keen. We haven't shared what we're on, so I'm pretty excited to see what you have in store for me. But I'm just having a look at the ladder at the moment. So we're 4 games in pretty much. We've got Brisbane, Manly, Dolphins, Warriors, Roosters, Sharks, Penrith, South. Your top 8. There's a fucking bunch of teams stuck in the middle there, but Tigers, apparently like $2.20 for the spoon. That's probably come in a bit. But Tigers, Canberra, Parramatta, and St. George with 1 win or less. What surprised you so far when you're looking at the ladder? What's got your attention?
Tigers and Dolphins, definitely.
Yeah.
Dolphins, but again, I say it every week. When they get a few injuries and missing players, let's see how they go. And now that Sean O'Sullivan's out for, I think, 16 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's like 4 months.
Yeah, this is when it'll really start to test their depth. But to give them credit, they've won 3 out of their 4 and they lost basically by a kick in the end against Brisbane the other night. It was a really good game. But Tigers have been just absolute woeful so far. It's deja vu. Like, it's the same Tigers every year. They go through these troughs where they just lose a bunch of games and they'll win one out of the blue and then they'll get flogged again. So, yeah.
It's this Luke Brooks bloke. I feel sorry for him, I can't even shit on him anymore. Like, he fucks up all the time, and I just feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He sucks out there. It's just fucking awful, poor bloke. Like, honestly, the Dolphins should try to pick him up right now. Like, just get him under Wayne. They need a 7 anyway. Early release. Just set him free, mate. The Tigers don't need him there. I don't know why they keep him. They're fucking not even playing Dane Laurie anymore. Just absolute shambles. Shambles. Not good. What's got my attention? Brisbane sitting at the top. Doesn't surprise me too much. We started fast last year. I like seeing the Warriors up there. Warriors playing great football, even away from home. They're somewhat competitive. Sean Johnson's playing excellent, and the Warriors aren't just dropping the ball everywhere. So, pretty happy with how the Warriors are going. What else is surprising for me? Probably Parramatta. I usually think of them as a team that starts fast and, not doing it. They're staying close, but just not winning enough games. They finally got one last week, but they got a tough match this week, so we'll see how they go. But those are probably the ones that surprise you the most. The Tigers, I did expect more out of them, but after one game, these guys are fucking awful. So,
would you be with the Warriors? Are you surprised the Warriors have the second best defense after 4 games?
That's very surprising. Well, this coach is bloody excellent by the sounds of things.
14 and a half points a game. They've played 4 games as well. They've had a bye. The best team is Penrith on 10 points a game. But
wow,
the second best defense in the comp.
They got a fucking big test with the fucking Sharks this week. So, what's surprising when I think of the Warriors is like this season, you can actually pinpoint players who do certain things to help the Warriors. Whereas last year and all the previous years, like 17 guys running around, and taking turns fucking up, really. Whereas I feel like they feel cohesive. They're like a unit. Sean Johnson's pulling the strings. Tamaya Martin's a good helper. Wade Egan's crafty out of 9. You got the ball blokes coming off the bench with the dark previews cuts doing work. Like, when Dylan Walker and Jazz Tavung come on, it fucking raises it. Adam Fanua-Blake, he's probably the best forward there, but he's not playing like it. They're all playing very well. Like, he's playing good. Tohu Harris is playing good. Jackson Ford's killing it. especially for fantasy. Like, there's a lot of them just playing really well. Montoya has turned into fucking Matt Vaduvai. Like, he used to get blown over by the wind when he was playing for the Dogs. Now he's just running at halfbacks and just laying them out. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's very impressive. Kossi was always big and good. And then their centers, they got Pompey and that young bloke. They're not making mistakes. It's really good. The Warriors are a legitimate rugby league team so far this year. So I'm really happy to see them doing well. Not as happy as I am seeing the Broncos do well, but, a bit biased. I don't want to talk about the controversies of last week. I got absolutely railed, and I can't remember that much. So let's get our thinking caps on. Let's do some forward thinking. Let's look into this week, see what we can do to pick some fucking winners for the boys, eh? Let's do it. Kicking it off, Thursday night, 8 p.m. We've got the Sydney Roosters versus the Parramatta Eels. The Roosters are the favourites here at $1.54. The line in this one is 5.5. If you like total points, you're looking at 40.5 right here. Looking at the key ins and outs for each team. For the Roosters, Joey Manu's out after his high shot. Hutchison might move into the centres. Corey Allen might fucking play. Who knows what they're going to do. And for the Eels, Junior Paulo. How do you say it? You like to say it in a... Paulo. So Junior's going to miss 2 games after that fucking ridiculous challenge from Gutho, resulting in his suspension.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks so bad in replay. In real time, it looked fine, but in the replay, it was awful. So he will be out, but at the same time, Parramatta looked a lot better with Ryan Madison back. The second rows are killing it in fantasy too, by the way. Like, I've seen a few guys who just took a lot of para players and they're actually doing really well. So
Hopgood, Cartwright, a lot of them, Madison even.
Yeah, Cartwright's gone up by like 250k or something, so he's flying. Hopgood, obviously, everyone's all over him, and Madison got 78 his first game back. So,
yep.
Parramatta still feeling quite a strong team. Roosters heavy favourites in this one though. 5.5 is pretty juicy for them. The Roosters have a great record against Parramatta up at Allianz, but. What are your thoughts on this one? I know you've got 1,100 bets. Is one of them on this game? Or
you betcha.
Yeah.
I got Roosters minus 5.5. I think this is a huge letdown spot for Para. I know they played a team coming off the bye, but they played the best game they've played in a long time. I'd say even better than the prelim final against the Cowboys. They 0-3, went 95% completion rate against Penrith. Just defended all night, grinded, and still got the win. I think walking away from it, you just think, well, why couldn't Para put that effort in? And I think the 5.5 is a bit of a trap. I think the Roosters, will cover this line.
Jeez, that's confidence. You only got one bet on this game?
Just the one on this one.
Just the one. You're taking the Roosters.
Yeah.
I've got a bet on this game. I am taking the Roosters as well. I'm not touching the line, though. I've chosen to get a little bit more value out of this one. I'm taking Roosters 1-12 here at 285. The Roosters' record against Parramatta can't be dismissed. They've given it to them in recent times. They won, 4 of their last 5. But when they're at home, they absolutely give it to them. But at the same time, the last 2 wins from the Roosters were 1-12. All of the Roosters games this year been decided by 1-12 points, and so have Parramatta's. So I think it'll be close. So just look, a shit ton of games this year have been decided by 1-12. And to get the Roosters at 285, Parramatta not missing too much in terms of depth in their lineup. The Roosters' attack isn't cohesive. I can't see them blowing the Eels out, but I can see them definitely winning this match. So Roosters 1-12 for me. I think the Eels will put up a fight as they normally do, but probably then they'll lose the way that they normally have so far this year. Is this the first game after Suwali's inked that contract?
Yes.
First game.
That's only fresh, that contract. It was Monday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Monday. What are your thoughts on the move? You got any problems with it? Gus, a lot of people told him to fucking never come back.
Which is a bit rich because he was playing rugby in school when South signed him. So, I think don't come back piece. But at the end of the day, if he puts bums on seats, so why get rid of him now when we get another year and a half out of him? I got a feeling he's going to be needed for New South Wales at some point in the next 12 months. So,
yeah, true.
And
the Fox might get snubbed again. So,
Yeah, I think it could be him on one side and Fox on the other next year. I don't know. Gone bold. I think Toto.
He's not the same Toto anymore. I've been
He's
watching
not.
him. He's not.
No, so
Doesn't have that same energy. But yeah, look, Roosters getting a bit old. I haven't seen much out of their halves. Jared was great, but he's not going to be great every single week. Brandon Smith still looks a bit unfit. Radley's not as crazy as he used to be. But look, they're a decent football team, and we all know that they're kind of warming into the season. But I think there's still a lot of pressure on Parramatta. I think they'll keep this close. So Roosters 1-12 to me, but I think that's a great way to kick off the round. It's an excellent game. Pretty keen to watch that one. One that I'm probably not too keen to watch, but I'm sure you will be. It's the Raiders versus the Penrith Panthers. It's in your standard shit cunt slot on a 6 p.m. on a Friday evening. I will be at the Bella Vista Hotel having a couple of VBs for this one. What do we have? Canberra, $4. Penrith, $1.25. The line was 8.5 just a few days ago, but that's moved out to 12.5, possibly after Jackie Boy's suspension. But looking at the ins and outs, Jordan Rapinoe's coming back. He'll probably be put on report, probably by the 60th minute, I reckon. Fogarty's back. Frawley's still playing because Jack Wyden's out. So who's going to kick the ball out on the full in this game? Who knows? We shall see. Jared Croker's part of the extended squad, but most likely won't play. Luke Garner won't play for Penrith, which is a great thing because I don't rate him that much in the Penrith uniform. Hosking has been fucking delicious. He's always good. He just doesn't get to play enough. What do you think on the whole second row scenario you have over there?
Well, Hosking by far looks the best, even better than Martin so far. I know Martin's injured, but the way Hosking played last week, I'm like, where is, again, we were so side to side. The second he gets the ball, he goes straight and direct, and it just looks way better. So,
yeah, good combination with Cleary as well. Young Hosking. Well, he's not young. He's fucking old as shit. He just doesn't play that much. So, he's pretty good. I do like watching him play. He's a tackling machine too. Tackling machine, makes meters, runs tough lines. But for some reason can't get a start every single week. So hopefully we get to see a lot more of him. You got Scott Sorensen playing in the second row.
Promotion.
It's an interesting one. Still got quite a strong bench. Tyrone Peachey covering that hooker role because old Sonny Luke got a bit of a headache this week, so won't be able to play. But what are your thoughts? You're gonna let your emotions get in the way of this? I know you hate Canberra, you love Penrith. A lot of reasons for back Penrith in this one, but what are you thinking? Where's your head at?
2 plays. 2 plays as well.
Is one of them a try scorer?
No. I've got under 12.5 Canberra points and under 39.5 total points. So
tell me why.
Tell you why. So statistically, Penrith versus Canberra, it's been 4 years since Canberra have beaten Penrith. They've actually, their last 4 games, Canberra have scored 6 points, 6 points, 10 points, 12 points. So, yeah, the 2019 when they did beat them, they did score 30, but that was 4 years ago. So since Penrith have been in this run, they have got Canberra's number. And they did play Canberra last year in Canberra with basically no team. And that's when James Sam got called a weak-gutted dog. And we flogged them that night. So there's no problems with us going there. And if there's one thing this year, Penrith's not firing on all cylinders, but the one thing Penrith have is their defense. They are definitely the best defensive team in the comp. They just don't leak points, and it's very rare teams score. So I think they're going to go there. I think I know Whiten is not a 5'8" that I'm a big fan of, but him missing is a huge link to their attack. So I think they will go the under the 12.5 and under the 39.5 because, again, Penrith aren't quite clicking in attack. So I can't see us scoring 30 points, which would be a result of us going over. So,
all right, that's an excellent play. Canberra unders, total unders.
Yep.
I can see that. Can't see how these Canberra team's going to score. You know that they're just going to crash and bash the whole time. You got some big boys prepared for that. You got Hosking in the lineup. You guys will be sweet. I rate that. I personally don't have any plays, but I'll back you in. I'll follow
that. Back me in. Live bet me. Yeah, good man.
I'll back you in there, mate.
They were very ordinary. They were very ordinary last week against Newcastle as well, Canberra.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then he saw White and his antics. Like he could have been Simeon 4 times that game. And then And then he's come out today saying he's going to test the market. So he's looking.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. So there's something not right there with Whiten in Canberra at the moment. And I don't know, maybe since the start of the season hasn't been right. I reckon probably post that little wrestling match he had with Latrell. I don't know. It's had a very interesting start to the year.
Yeah, that's true. All right, they are in shambles. Shambles. Gone. All right, I rate those players. I've just added those to my bet slip, so I'm going to make a horny, nice little multi. Thanks for the insights. Kicking it off to a much better game to watch. Your main event on a Friday evening. Me at my old age, I should be home by this time. If not, I'm having a long night at the pub. We've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Melbourne Storm. Rabbitohs are favoured at $1.55. Storm 245. The line in this one is 4.5. Looking at the lineups, who are the key ins and outs? Jaime Saleh's back. Probably get a concussion once again. Johnson's good to go. For the Storm, Tom Eisenhuth joins the bench. Wishart moving to the reserves. Who else have we got happening here? What's this? Jerome Hughes still not ready. Jonah Peasant sticking in the 7 jumper. He wasn't too bad, young Peasant. But the Storms, even though they won last week, they still didn't look great in my opinion. Rabbitohs, they had the big Sattler effect last week. Great effort once again as always, but I was absolutely rattled off my head. So I'll be honest, I didn't watch this game, so I'll probably need you to pull some insights out of it. But do you have a play on this one? What are you thinking?
Yes, so I've gone under 40.5. Reason being is these teams, again, historically don't exactly shoot the lights out with points typically. It's usually anytime they meet, it's an absolute grind. In fact, if I go again, this is me looking up stats. The last 2 games, 36 points, 29 points. Then there was the 50-0 Melbourne over Souths, but the 34, 38 points. So they are very grindy affairs. And again, both teams are missing still. Souths are missing a couple of players. Melbourne obviously missing Hughes there. So they're not quite, and Pappenhausen. So they're not going to be on firing on full cylinders in attack at the moment. So I'm expecting a close game, but a low scoring game. Crazy stat, though. These two teams have played 37 times and Melbourne have won 31 times.
What?
Yeah. Head-to-head, 37 appearances, Melbourne winning 31 out of 37.
Oh.
Talk about having the wood on it. I know Melbourne basically came in when South came back and they were shit, but, I know Melbourne have been good, but South's had a good team. That's a pretty interesting stat there I found, so.
Jesus Christmas.
Also,
so you've only got one play total unders, or have you got more?
Just unders in that one. But also in this game, Souths have averaged 16 points conceded, scored 17 themselves. Melbourne have conceded 22 and scored 21, but they did concede a ton of points without Munster. Munster seems to be a much better fit in that team at the moment. So,
yeah. One thing that's interesting here, I was looking at Melbourne's total try market. I was thinking under 3.5 could be juicy. Souths have been pretty gritty defensively. But for Melbourne, under 3.5, it's only $1.60. So probably not that solid enough for your singles. But yeah, I can see it being a low-scoring game. Rabbitohs, they're not playing too bad. They're kind of holding teams under 18 points in every single match, which is really good. Except, under 18. So, but Melbourne's line's at 17.5. If you're looking at the total, so the bookies probably have that one just right. But I feel like this could be a great Anaconda weekend. I've got an excellent.
I feel I feel like a good Anaconda this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like it's coming. I'm personally playing Souths minus 4.5 in this one. I've been talking shit about their props and their forward pack. With Totola still not suiting up, but at the same time, they hung with me in the last week. Big Tom Burgess is there. Kalol Matangi apparently is going to spend a lot more time in the middle, and he's been excellent. He's playing big minutes in the middle. Apparently, he used to only play 20, 30 minutes a game when he was a prop. Got his fitness up, so I think they got strength around the middle. Storm missing. Just missing. I wouldn't say players. I think they're just missing that edge, that aura that
they don't have the depth. They don't have the depth anymore.
Yeah, they're not the same. Like
if you do look at them, they are missing Pappenhausen and Hughes.
Yeah,
and Nelson. They are big 3 players, but You still
They're
look
all
at that
strike,
team,
man.
and you go like Josh King, Leoro, like
The
Christian
toilers.
Welch. Christian Welch
Yeah.
is named prop, like Bronson Garlic. Like that sounds like a pie. Alex McDonald. Yeah,
He's an undersized prop. Tariq Sims hasn't got the juice. Eisenhuth, he's an undersized forward as well. Probably played centers. Yeah, they're just missing a lot of X factor. They've got Harry Grant and Cam Bunster. Well, that's all they have. But Harry Grant's playing 80 minutes now. Since he's moved to 80-minute stints, he's like kind of solid throughout the game, but he's not breaking things open. I think when he knew he was playing 40 to 60 minutes, he could be a bit more aggressive and punch the nos and really break games wide open. But now he's playing 80 minutes. I don't see that happening anymore. So, yeah, they're just missing that aura. Like, I think the only player that they've picked up who's actually elevated their play is Elise Katoa.
Yeah.
Because he only won. The rest haven't. Nick Meaney's been solid, but he's already had a year under Melbourne. So, and he's been what you expect him to be. He's excellent. He's excellent. He's solid, but he's not breaking shit open. Ruben Smith, Xavier Coates, no, not happening. So, yeah, I'm liking South -4.5 at a core stadium as well. I reckon South can roll them here.
Okay,
I'd take it up to 6. So, give me South all day, baby. All right. So that's your filthy Friday. Moving into your slutty Saturday. We're back with 3 games on a Saturday, which is excellent. Your first one, you're looking at the Manly Seagulls.
Did anyone give you an answer why there was only 2 games on Saturday last week? I asked probably 10 people and nobody goes. The only answer I got was because New Zealand are playing at home or something. Which made no sense.
I actually have no idea. It worked out well for me.
Yeah,
I was clearly bendering all Saturday, so I wasn't able to watch them. So it was good to just be absolutely buckled on a Sunday, just watching some rugby league. So we're back. I don't expect to feel that way this week, so I'll be able to watch them all. 3 p.m. on Saturday. Manly Seagulls versus Newcastle Knights. This is a home game for the Eagles out in Mudgee. Manly $1.20 favourites. Knights $4.50 outsiders. The line's 13.5 in this one. Key ins and outs. Fuck. Manly's got Morgan Harper back. Spoke to a couple of Manly fans today. They weren't happy about it. So let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. I think there's a few Manly fans amongst us. What are your thoughts? Morgan Harper's back. Lachlan Croker, he returns from a shoulder injury. So that's pretty good for Manly. And for the Knights, Kurt Mann won't be able to play. He's got a headache. Marju holds his spot. Dom Young is on the reserves. I was on the fence about whether I touched this. Didn't end up touching it, but from all your bets, does one of them consist of a play on this game?
Yes, it does.
Fucking
Manly,
hell, everything.
Manly -13.5. Absolute lock. Croker, you said Croker's back. They got their hooker back. Like they've been scoring and doing well without their hooker. Like, and they're getting their hooker back. It's going to be good. Knights, again, they beat a shit Raiders team. I still think the Knights are dog shit. Interesting stat though. I've got stats this week. These two teams have played at Mudgee 3 times, and they've won every game. So these are the 2 teams that are undefeated at Mudgee, going head to head. Stat for you there. But I like Manly. I think whilst they got this team that is fit, they're going to be very hard to beat. The Jack Johns are playing lock does not scare me at all. So I'm taking them to cover the line here. Lockie Miller's been a good pickup for them.
He has. Mm-hmm. Second highest scoring fullback in all of fantasy, apparently.
And I think everyone's got him. So,
yeah.
By the way, Lockie, you were talking shit. Where did you score last week? I beat you then too.
Oh, so you've been seeing everything he said.
Yeah, I have been. I've been watching. Yeah, he's been talking smack, and I had a look on the weekend at fantasy, and you did well yourself. I'll give you credit there, but so Lockie didn't quite score the points that I scored. So, yeah, very quiet week from him actually. So.
Eat shit, Lockie. From Luke. I think you're a good bloke. Keep watching, please. All right, so you're taking Manly to pump. I am. Look, they really should. I don't understand why I didn't touch this one. Probably because I didn't watch Manly last week. Can't get a read on them. Can't get a read. And I did watch the Knights fucking destroy those fucking wankers from Canberra, but I did see that one coming. I like Newcastle at home. not home, but it's the Mudgee factor. Who knows what happens out here? But look, we're due for a blowout. There hasn't been that many this year. We're due for a blowout. And look, it's a good chance Manly gives out a hiding on Saturday, but being quite conservative these days, so I'm choosing not to touch it. Have you only got the one play on that game?
Just the one on this one.
Just the one. Okay. But it's an absolute lock.
It's a lock.
Absolute lock. All right. Well, back in there. What do we have? 5:30 on the same day, Saturday. We've got the Dragons versus the Dolphins. Fuck me. This is at Wynn Stadium. At the moment, it's close to a pick 'em. Dragons $1.80 favourites. Dolphins are at $2. Lions 1.5 points. Looking at key movements within the lineups. What do we have? All these fucking wankers coming in for the Dragons. Jack DeBellin, he might play. Anthony Griffin's still coaching this team, so you have to keep that in mind. Jack Bird's starting at lock, but who knows? They could move some shit around. Dolphins, they got some pretty big changes, though. So they lost quite a few players last week. Anthony Milford should play 7. Katoa should be back. Sullivan's gone for about 3-4 months. Tessie's gone for about 4 to 5 weeks. Jeremy Marshall-King is back. And Herman Esiesi looks like he's going to return. So Dolphins didn't have a strong lineup at any point this year. They had a bunch of decent rugby league players. Now they're hit with a bit of injuries, so the depth will be tested. The Dragons got absolutely walloped by Cronulla in the second half. I don't know what the fuck that was. Shit all around, to be honest. So, yeah, the Dragons get pumped, but they're still coming in this game as favourites. What do you reckon? The bookies got that right, or?
I'm staying away from the head-to-head. This one's actually, I reckon that's the trickiest one to tip. I know there is a $1.90 game coming up, but that for me is this could go either way. Both teams have been consistent in terms of being shit and being competitive, but completely different weeks coming up. You know, the Dolphins, probably no one's really. I think there's more pressure on the Dragons than the Dolphins. I've gone, over 21.5 second half points in this game. So
you're backing on the Dolphins to pump, you reckon, or
So if you look at this season with these two teams, so Dolphins have played 4 games, Dragons have played 3 games, so 7 second halves total. 6 out of the 7 have gone over 21.5 points between these teams and whoever they're playing. So they not only are the Dragons leaking points, but even the Dolphins, there was actually 26 points in your game last week against the Broncos, 28 against the Knights, 16 was the one they missed against Canberra. There was 22 against the Roosters in round 1 versus Dragons 22 against the Dolphins, the fucking 34 against you guys, and then the 28 against Cronulla. So both teams struggle to play for 80 minutes. They start, and I think it's a combination of fatigue / blowouts, effort. And you saw with the Dolphins last week, they're willing to throw their hand around to try and win a game. In fact, unnecessarily. But I like the over 21.5 in the second half. I don't think either team's going to be focusing on. I think they're just going to try and get the win, and it could be a game where I feel like the Dragons' dressing room are completely gone. I know Aaron Woods is fucking gone. Thank goodness for them, and they've picked up some young forwards, but they're just collapsing, capitulating at the moment. And they did it in the Charity Shield too, as from memory against South. So, yeah.
They're fucking awful, the Dragons. I do have a play on this one, and this is an absolute lock. I can't believe what the bookies are doing here. I'm taking the under for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Can you believe the line is set at 21.5 points for the Dragons? 21.5 points. So they did score 32 against the Gold Coast, but the Gold Coast were just throwing that game away. Errors upon errors. They were just absolutely not giving a shit. They scored 18 against Brisbane, and they only scored 8 against Cronulla. The Dolphins have been competitive this year purely because their effort to play defense. They don't have the cattle to fucking score as many points as they normally would. They're missing some key players. But what's going to keep them alive is their ability to play defense. The Dolphins only let the Broncos score 18 last week. They let Newcastle score 20, held Canberra to 14, and held the Roosters to 18. How the Dragons get 21.5 points is fucking beyond me. That's an absolute joke. I think it is a pick-em. I can't tell you who the fuck wins. It could be a very close one, but I'm telling you, the Dragons are not scoring more than 21.5 points against these Dolphins.
Cool.
Not happening. No. So That's my lock for that game. My only play on it. I know you rate that.
I do.
I could smell your boner from here. Speaking of boners, your main event on a Saturday night. Your Brisbane Broncos, or my Brisbane Broncos, versus the West Tigers. You got the top of the table versus the absolute bottom feeders of the league. For my Broncos, we've got the very same 17 we've rolled out last week. For the Tigers, who the fuck knows what Tim Sheens is doing? Apparently he's stuck solid with the same 13 he had last week, which is Dewey at fullback, Wakeham at 6. Some small changes around their bench, but these fucking Tigers, I tell you, absolute dog shit. Broncos sitting at the top of the table, but they're not playing like it. I don't think they're playing better than everybody else in the comp. They've just won more games. The Dragons weren't very good. We just blitzed them at the end. The Cowboys, we played okay, but it was mainly the drink water thing that turned things. And last week, I thought we were terrible. So, look, great. Happy to see us up there. And we're up against the Tigers, who are clearly playing the worst out of everybody. But the Tigers have the ability to make the Brisbane Broncos play worse than them. You have a play on this one, so I'll let you share all the juicy insights on why the Tigers could potentially cover lines or score points in this one. So over to you, my friend.
I have 2 players. Tigers plus 15.5. I think the line's too big. Even I compare, say, Brisbane to the Melbourne Storm. I think if Brisbane played Melbourne, I think Brisbane would probably win, but I wouldn't be convinced they'd blow them off the park, and they only lost by 12 to Melbourne. I know they were late tries, but they're at a point now. But also what you just talked about before, they've won the last 4 games against you guys. So despite how shit they've been in this period, they've beaten you the last 4. So they don't mind going to Suncorp either. In fact, 3 out of the 4 wins were at Suncorp. Last year, 32-18, 2021, 42-24. Then they beat you 48-0 at Leichhardt, and then 22-16 at Suncorp in 2019. Then you have to go back to 2018, and for those historians out there, Brisbane won 9-7, and I believe it was Jermaine Asako penalty goal, which was a bullshit call, I believe, from memory. Yep. So they really, for some reason, the Tigers just are a bogey team, and I think if you look at last week, you have to look at teams that just seem to have history and form against Penrith and Para, for example. Teams seem to get up for it. I don't know what it is, but I like the 15.5. I still think Brisbane will win. I'll tip Brisbane, but I think that line is too big. And then the second part of it is over 12.5 Tigers points. Basically, what I just touched on just then, they've gone over it literally every time they've played for the last 5 years. So I don't think they mind playing the Broncos. In fact, despite their fucking shitness, the Tigers are still averaging 14 points a game this year. So they're averaging higher than the line. And the Broncos are averaging 14 points conceded. So this line is favouring statistics plus the combination of their history against the Broncos and a little bit of potential letdown spot for the Broncos. They would have been up for that game last week. That was we want to show who's big brother here, and they would have been flying for it. So a little bit of a letdown spot for them.
I agree. It is a letdown spot. I think the bookies will also be playing to the market. The Broncos are the most followed team within rugby league. They're too short in every way. I think that line is way too big. There's a lot of you got everyone talking about how great the Broncos are. I'm saying that they're not doing as well as people are talking, and everybody is shitting on how bad the Tigers are. And I agree, they are fucking awful, but they can still score 3 tries.
Yeah,
and they'll bring these fucking Broncos playing some dog shit footy. So look, I'm not touching it. I hope we absolutely thump them, but I said it last week. We've got a lot of young blokes. There's going to be some overconfidence here. And we saw some of that last week. They're just trying to put on all these fucking magical shit when they don't need to. Just win the fucking game. Just blitz them.
That I feel like is. I think you guys will make the 8. And I said at the start, but
we need a loss. We fucking need one.
That's what's going to come. There's going to come a game where the mistakes are going to cost them in the final, and that's what finals football is really. Like if you look at the teams that win the comp, they punish errors, and Reece Walsh is amazing, but they just need to sometimes stop trying to throw the miracle play and grind out wins. So that's my only thing. Yeah,
no, I agree. And the thing is, this won't be the last time we say something like this. I think our next 3 games are fucking easy too. I think we got Titans, Canberra, Newcastle, or something like that, like shit teams. And then I think towards the middle of the year, we cop like Roosters, South, Melbourne, Manly, like all these great teams. We'll get them all at once. So I'm pretty keen for that. The next couple of weeks will be me just worried we're going to fuck things up because I honestly think the team needs a loss. They need one.
Strange thing, isn't it? When you're winning, you're like, when similar to Penrith the last couple of years when they went on those big win streaks, you're like, just even the grand final, right? They went through all the way and they lost the grand final. You're like, fuck, if only you guys lost the game before the finals, it would have been that nowhere on a record win streak and stuff off the table.
Yeah. No, we need a loss, but we'll see. We'll probably win. Into your seedy Sunday. Talking about seedy Sundays, I definitely had one. We've got the Sharks versus the Warriors. Sharks $1.31 favourites. Warriors in great form, but you can get them for $3.50. The line in this one is disrespectful. It's 10.5. I don't think the line against it's the same line against the Dragons actually that the Sharks had last week. Disrespected my boys from NZ. Looking at some key changes in the lineups. What do we have? Trindle might play, but pretty much the same team for Cronulla. For the Warriors, Tohu Harris will play. He got injured, I think, just before half-time last week. Tamara Martin's out, which is pretty big, but Wade Egan is back for the Warriors. I want to back the Warriors because I like them. They're clearly my second favourite team. I've got quite a few of those boys in my fantasy team as well, so I'm hoping they do well, but personally not touching it. What about you? You probably have like 4 or 5 bets remaining.
I got a couple, but this is one of them. Yep. I have under 26.5 Sharks points.
Where?
I think
you did talk about the Warriors' defense, didn't you?
They're disrespecting the Warriors. The Warriors are a solid team. They're not going to win the comp. They're not going to, spook the finals. They might make the 8, but they're not going to be a team that like go on a run. But I think they've been very solid. Like they kept the Dogs to 14 points. They've kept the Cowboys to 12 points. They kept the Roosters to 20 points. They kept the Knights to 12 points. I think the Sharks aren't
Cronulla could score 4.
Cronulla, like they could, but I can't see them scoring 5. They haven't conceded that many points all year. Their most is the Roosters with 20 points. I think people are disrespecting the Warriors a bit. Like it's almost like as a value multi taking the Warriors head. This is a game the Warriors could jag and win. I think the Sharks are overinflated from last week.
The Nico Hines effect, yeah.
Yeah, the week before that they lost to the Raiders, who were shown to be shit, and then the week prior to that they beat the Eels, but fuck, they conceded a lot of points. Yes. And then the Rabbitohs beat in week 1, so they're very patchy. I know Hines is back, but yeah, I think the Warriors people are sleeping on defensively. Yeah.
How about that last week we'll talk about? Does Nico Hines move the line 4 points? Like, is he worth that much? Fucking hell, he moved it by like 30.
Moved it a lot. He threw it.
Crazy. It's just like watching his highlights, he just made it look so easy. It's like I feel like those opportunities are presented to halfbacks in a lot of games. They're too scared to pull the trigger. Yeah. Whereas Nico just doesn't give a fuck. Like he just goes. It's pretty awesome to watch. But all it takes is for him to have a bad game, and they're just dropping balls all over the place. Their forward pack's not formidable as they once were.
No.
But Nico does open things up again. But the Warriors have been very competitive in every single game so far. So I think it's a great play. Have you only got the one play in this game?
Just the one.
Woo-wee! I'm hoping the Warriors cover that 10.5, but I'm not putting my cash on it. Let's go, NZ. Into your final game of the round. We've got the Bulldogs versus the Cowboys. It's a pick 'em right now. It's $1.90 each. Where's this fucking game being played? It's at a core stadium. Interesting. Josh Reynolds is playing for the Bulldogs, which is pretty exciting. Tavita Pangai Jr. still bloody injured. And for the Cowboys, couple of injuries. Tuolangi's out. Shibasaki's out. Peter Hiku's back. Brendan Elliott's in. Nanai's suspended. Luke is starting. And Tamel is still injured. So last year, the Cowboys had a great run of health. Weren't impacted by much. This year, they're starting to feel it. You're a proud Cowboys hater. So let me know how you think how much are the Bulldogs going to win by?
I've just gone head-to-head. I think they'll win it's $1.90 head-to-head.
Right.
I've got them head-to-head, and I've also got under 40.5 points. I think this is both teams, for me, we'll start with the Dogs. The Dogs aren't the attacking, flaring team. They're starting to be that grindy team again. Last week's a prime example of that. I know they did score, but there was the Tigers. but I can't. I think this is a game where I think the Cowboys are going to struggle. I'm going to probably be wrong here. You're going to probably click it. I'm going to look like an idiot. But I think this is where they start to struggle. In fact, both teams are so Dogs are averaging 18 points a game and Cowboys are averaging 17 points a game scored. So they're not scoring more than 4 tries each. I know they're conceding a bit, but I think Sunday evening, I think it's going to be a bit of a grind. This is one of the kind of games that I think Cowboys drop, and that's why I don't think they'll make the 8.
This is an important one. It's an important game.
Yeah. They lose this, they already are outside the 8, but they slide. And someone like the Dogs puts 2 points on them, they then really start to feel the pressure. So I think this is, I'm not convinced obviously I'm not a fan of the Cowboys making the 8, and this is one of those games where I think they lose, and this is why they won't make the 8, because these are the games last year where they played the shit teams when they did have injuries, and they put them away, and they're now playing an average team with injuries, and they didn't get that position last year. So,
No, I agree. We're having a look. I think I said it in our preview that who in the Cowboys is going to get any better. And as I look at their lineup, they have no players right now who are playing better than they were last year. Nobody.
No.
Wingers aren't scoring tries the way they used to. Drinkwater's probably their best player this year, but he's fucked off after breaking my man Corey's face. Dearden's been really quiet. Excellent year last year. Haven't heard a peep. Taumalola, the only time I've heard his voice is when I heard his name is when they talk about him going into boxing.
Yeah.
So whereas the Bulldogs should get better every week, I think defensively they got the right players, they got the right cattle. In attack, they probably can't score as much with Kyle Flanagan at 7. I feel like they find themselves in position to score a lot. They just don't score when they're in the red zone. But I think defensively they can slow the Cowboys down. Their attack's not great. Dogs are at home as well. Could have easily won that game against the Warriors, but shit the bed. So, yeah, look, I rate the pick 'em there. I am leaning towards the Bulldogs as well. I think they should be priced at about $1.70. Cowboys should be outsiders for this. But by the time kickoff happens, I think we'll see a lot more money pour in for the Dogs. But no, I'm buying. You got anything else on that game or just the Dogs to win?
Dogs and unders.
Dogs and unders. Should be nice and competitive. I could definitely see the unders here. You've taken the unders quite a bit. I just wanted to ask you, because we've done previewing all the games, do you feel uncomfortable watching a game and you're back in the unders? Like, it's a bit of a clench, right?
It is, but I've also got the overs in the Dragons Dolphins second half. But I think at the moment, the bookies haven't quite respected teams' defenses. If I look at the bets I have, under 39.5 in the Canberra-Penrith game. Penrith, what point this year has there been like a 40-point game? So where's that going to come from? South Melbourne, I'm just gone because, historically head-to-head they have that piece. Like the Warriors, no one's respecting the Warriors. And also I just think, Dogs and Cowboys are missing too many attacking players, so they're not going to look as good at attacking. I can't see the Dogs putting a cricket score on them, but I can see them winning. So,
No, absolutely. All right. Well, take it. So that's 11 bets, right? You've got
11. Legs 11.
You're taking them in singles and put 100 on the multi.
Well, I have a multi on it. I have 100 on it, but if you put all my legs in a multi, 487 to 1. So
is that it?
That's it.
It's respectable.
So I think I'm going to add a bit more on Anaconda it up, but I saw a dude on TikTok do the 100,000 multi. So
100,000?
He's chasing a $100,000 win, so he does a multi every week on AFL with all disposals. I think I'm doing something like that for NRL, like just having $10 on it wins $100,000.
Let's make it happen. Let's get that cash, baby. All right, we're pretty keen. We'll see. Hopefully, you're going to need a lot of wins because you're falling behind at the moment. I think you're 10-9 and I'm 10-6, so you need to get some more wins happening, mate. Look, for everybody watching, I will have a Conda out probably tomorrow night. I'm feeling quite confident about a lot of these games. I've noticed a couple of trends. Just letting you know there is going to be some unders in there. Last week I chose not to do any unders and it fucked me a couple of times. So we'll have some unders in the Conda, but trust your boy. I've hit these Condas more than any man alive that I've seen. So, and if there is somebody, sorry. But juicy Condas coming. Pretty keen for a lot of these games. Not excited about my Broncos because I'm scared it could be a fucking shit spot for us. But no, there's quite a few good matchups in this one. Pretty keen. So, Luke, we'll catch you next week. thank you very much. Keep a close eye on all the players suffering concussions. Your team's feeling fast. Gamble responsibly. Not really, but we should say that. Be good to your mothers and just stay off the drugs, boys, because there's just too much of that happening these days, and you need to be in the best mindset if you're going to have some fun on the punt. So stay off the drugs, learn from Luke's mistakes, and keep an eye on fantasy. I think we should do a fantasy show, Luke, honestly.
Yeah, we should get Lockie on to talk us through his fucking shit score last week.
Let us know in the comments. Would you like to see a fantasy show? Because then we get to talk about which players are doing well, what you should buy, why you shouldn't. And look, being honest, my first year playing this NRL fantasy stuff, and for the first couple of weeks, I was sitting in the top 1,000 out of the 450,000 or whoever's playing. I was sitting in the top 1,000. But then after a couple of weeks, I learnt that the bench players pick up points, and then I've started to fix my squad. But I think after about 3 weeks, I am going to be set. I'm going to be stacked from 1 to 21. I tell you, I'm going to be cleaning up. So something to think about. We could do a fantasy show.
Lockie, I saw your comment just then, mate. Why have you picked? You didn't have a full team. Tell us about Tyron Wishart at halfback, by the way.
Max.
8 points. Whoa.
Lockie, I'll give you a chance to respond before I turn this thing off.
Yeah, and he lost to a guy who also didn't have a full team.
Oh, come on, boys. You got to field 17 players in fantasy, surely.
Yeah, it's a basic.
It's the basics. The buyers can be tricky.
And he captained Nico Hines. So if he didn't have Nico Hines in that team, you're looking like a 500, 550 score. Jesus.
I think I'm getting 1,000 this week, just calling it.
Fair call.
The only decision I still need to make is who's going to captain my squad. That's
just leave it on Cleary.
I haven't got him yet, but we'll see. I think if you give me maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I'll have Nico and Cleary as my halves. Why not?
Yeah.
Fucking elite. All right, lads, let's wrap this up. I've got Call of Duty that I need to play. Luke, I'll see you next week. Catch us on Spotify. Join the Discord. It's a great place to be. I haven't heard that bloody theme song in a while. Let me play that shit for you, and then we'll fuck right off. See you next week.
See ya.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.